For sure. Okay, so we've covered, we touched on that there's enough training out there that you can go and pick it up, your book included. And we've touched on a fear, and we've both given some anecdotes here and some potential solutions. Let's touch on this element of time now, because I find this fascinating that it's common sense. If you've got a sales funnel and you want to get deals out the other end, and your job is based around, customer success and other things as well, but for most B2B salespeople, it's closing deals. Why don't we spend more time prospecting at the front of it? Clearly, it's the most, everyone likes closing deals and talking with customers in the middle of the sales process. Some of it is common sense of why we're not doing it, but it also should be massively common sense that from 9 till 1 every single day, we should be doing pretty much nothing but prospecting. Obviously, those numbers can vary, but why don't we spend more time prospecting, Richard?
I think part of the time we get too busy. I wish sometimes, I'll speak for myself here, I wish life was straightforward where you say, hey, every morning without fail is, left for prospecting, and in the afternoon is where I'll do everything else. Life doesn't always pan out that way.
Why can't it be that way though? Just to push back on you slightly, in a B2B, clearly it's different if we're working from home, we've got other things we need to be doing, fine. But if we walk into an office, especially inside sales, why can't we just block off our calendar, and when people come to dump crap on our table, we tell them to just get lost for a few hours? Why? I know this, I appreciate it isn't practical, but why isn't it practical?
Yeah, I think part of it is probably a lack of discipline, that people have. I do have some sympathy that things can come up, like a prospect wants a call at a certain time, and it's really difficult to move that time, and it's really key in progressing a deal forward. And I think there are extenuating circumstances where things can get in the way, but I think the best salespeople that I've worked with have been the most disciplined to make use of those time blocks. And so I was working with this person who had real trouble feeling like they weren't being productive with their prospecting output. And I asked them to show me what they would do in a working day, and even use that same day as a perfect example. They loaded up their calendar. They showed me they had this 2-hour block between 9:30 and 11:30 labeled prospecting. And I said, okay, great. You've made time in your calendar. You're one step ahead a lot of people that I actually see here, that you've actually made a concerted effort to block that time. So talk me through what you achieved in that 2 hours. And they said, that was the frustrating thing. I didn't really get started till about 10 a.m. And then, I had to find who I wanted to contact. And that took me another half an hour. And then I was doing a little bit of research, and I probably only really started to contact people about 11 o'clock. And so, they were actually sending out video prospecting emails. They said I probably only sent out like 6 and overall. I kind of said, well, so you essentially did about 20 minutes worth of prospecting in that 2-hour block. And they were like, yeah. And I think people sometimes kid themselves. People kid themselves that all of the stuff that leads up to actually doing the activity is prospecting, when actually most of it is preparation, dithering, procrastinating, not being focused. And when you actually break it down, saying, okay, so imagine if you came into that 2-hour block with everything prepared, with no other distractions, and literally from 9:30 you just did actual activity. What I mean by that is you were making engagement with your prospects, or attempted engagements. How many attempted engagements do you think you could make? And when you worked it out, like, let's just say 5 minutes generously per contact, suddenly, and then you're like, okay, so you could do, let's just say in that 2-hour block, you could easily do 50 contacts. Imagine if then you multiply that by 5 for each day of the week, it's 250 attempts. Imagine if you multiply that by 4 for each week of the month, it's 1,000. And I kind of said, what do you think you could achieve if you made 1,000 attempted engagements with prospects every single month? And they were like, I think I would blow things out of the water. And it's not until I had actually broken it down into like, what are you actually doing today? In their head, they thought, I've got this 2-hour block in my calendar. Like, it kind of feels good. I've made time. But actually, they weren't making that time productive. But actually, when they thought about it, if they could make that time productive, when you actually do the maths of your prospecting, suddenly it's actually easy. 2 hours a day can contribute to a lot. It's like a snowball effect. But sometimes people just need that realization as to what they're actually doing in those blocks.